Hello, film historians. I'm Derek and I love old movies. We've got Sam the sidekick here.
Hello, and welcome to episode 21.
More like episode 20, fun.
In which we'll recap our first season of the podcast and talk about what comes ahead.
Now, seasons on podcasts seem to be a very arbitrary thing.
Some people don't do them at all.
Which I feel would be fine for us. But on the other hand, we are still in the fairly early days, figuring things out a bit.
Making up our own rules as we go.
Exactly. Mixing it up now and then. Little format changes, things like that.
And looking back, we're going to reconsider all our previous films, everything we've covered so far, and create a master list, a ranking, based on which films we liked the most.
We used a very precise system for this.
Oh yeah, total science.
So, how did we do it? Well, we watched 18 films in all. So both you and I,
and Mom,
and Nikki, who watched them all with us, rank ordered the films based on how much we liked them.
For whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Acting, story, production value, historical significance, entertainment value, whatever.
Yeah, it was very subjective.
And then once the films were ordered, they were given a point value.
18 films meant the most a film could get was 18 points. Your favorite film got 18 points. Your least favorite got 1. So the most points a film could get was 54. The fewest was 3.
Did anything get 3?
No.
Oh.
But one did get 4.
Heyo!
We have, I can say unequivocally, a least favorite.
What about 54? Did any film grab top spot for all 3 lists?
They did not.
Oh.
But one got 53.
Heyo!
So I'm looking forward to sharing that list. I wonder if for our long-term listeners, our list is what theirs would be.
Let us know in the comments, or hit us up on the socials to let us know what your favorite film we have covered so far is. Not necessarily what your favorite episode of our show was, but just your favorite film.
The socials. Let's do that part.
Facebook.
I Love Old Movies, the podcast.
Instagram.
I Love Old Movies, the podcast.
Twitter.
At ILOM Podcast.
Email.
Good old-fashioned email, you mean?
I do indeed.
I Love Old Movies, the podcast at gmail.com.
All one word.
And while you are here, please take a moment to hit like, subscribe, and share, or favorite us, or whatever.
Do the thing. We totally appreciate it.
So, the film rankings. We are doing that. What else is on today's show?
We will look at which episodes have been the most and least popular.
Oh, yes. Surprises on both ends of that spectrum, I must say.
We'll talk a bit about what the show will look like going forward and our new collaboration with Pet Rock Radio.
That is a pretty exciting thing. I still can't kind of believe we're doing that.
Andy wanted to mention our favorite shows.
Ours and the audience's based on listens.
It's a bit weird to think that some of our most popular episodes are ones with films so far down on our lists.
Right? It just goes to show, you never know. So part of the fun of doing this podcast is being able to go back and say, this is an episode I feel really good about. Or, I think we really loused up this one.
We've had both of those.
For sure we have. And that's part of what we want to think about today. And looking back, I'd say the one I feel we did the best on was The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I feel we did a really good job on that podcast and tackled an extremely difficult film that so much has already been said about. And we didn't get overwhelmed or anything by it. We did a good job there.
Let's listen to a clip from that.
Claus did emigrate to Austria, where he lived until his death in 1959, his reputation being somewhat restored by then, but mostly he died fairly obscure.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Claus is an interesting case in that we don't always talk about artists who overtly collaborated with the Nazis. We tend to focus more these days on the ones who fled Germany and became successful in Hollywood. Claus was absolutely not that. He was a Nazi who did Nazi work and 100% subscribed to Nazi thought.
And his work needs to be viewed through that lens.
For sure it does. And this brings the whole cancel culture debate into view as well. Certainly by any measuring stick we would use today, Claus was cancelled in Germany after World War II ended. He was completely singled out and had his career retroactively wiped out by a new government and a post-Nazi mindset in Germany that was quite rightly not fond of either the man or his actions.
It's not like he was a collaborator or a appeaser.
Mm-mm.
He was 100% into what the Nazis were all about.
And you just watched this film in your film studies class, right?
Right. And when we talked about A Birth of a Nation, we were given a lot of information and warning about the racism. We kind of knew what we were getting into with that, but nothing was said about this film.
Do you think it should have been?
I think when the star of a film you're looking at, studying in a scholarly way, wound up becoming Hitler and Goebbels' favorite actor and the poster child for Nazi cinema in the 30s, I think that's relevant. Considering him in terms of Caligari, the work still exists. It was made. His performance is still great, and the movie deserves its place in film history.
But similarly to how we have to look at the work of Bill Cosby, or Kevin Spacey, or Johnny Depp in a different way now, we probably need to view this film from the perspective of knowing what sort of person Werner Krauss was, and would become. It brings the whole argument about ideology and art into focus. Was Krauss, in his soul, an actor first, or a Nazi first?
And does that even matter? I don't know if I want to be in a position to praise or criticize the artistic contributions, acting, filmmaking, painting, sculpture, poetry, whatever, Nazis.
And that puts this film in a difficult place.
It really does. Obviously, he wasn't...
Okay, what about you? What do you think was our best one?
Caligari might have been my choice. Or it's a 1 and 1A thing.
Yeah.
But I think I'll go with All Quiet on the Western Front. That movie, it flipped a switch in me, and I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. I still can't, really. I just keep going back to how we took that one line about forget who you thought you were going to be and applied it to all the different situations in the film. It was really powerful.
Let's check that out. It is a film that does not glorify war, nor the heroism that wartime can inspire. It's a film about drudgery and misery, about regret and about loss. It's not only the ultimate anti-war film, it's the ultimate coming-of-age story. Only in this tale, becoming an adult means learning to understand and accept the futility of war, and resigning yourself to the fate that death awaits you and all those around you. The supposition of what war is contrasts nightmarishly with the reality, leaving not only the characters, but the viewer deeply shaken by what they experience. A violent, graphic film, it has the benefits of a large budget, a director with a free hand, a studio and producer who deeply believed in the film, a pre-code production, scores of former German soldiers working as extras who helped with realism and authenticity. And it's as good today as when it took audiences by storm 90 years ago.
Right. This film was not without controversy. Certainly in Europe, this film generated a lot of attention.
Oh, it sure did. The German government, even pre-Nazi, hated the film, as they felt it portrayed the German army and people as cowardly, and that the film was inherently anti-German. The film was, of course, eventually banned there, and requiring massive recuts in order to be released there properly. But Poland also banned the film, seeing it as too pro-German.
It seems there was some perspective in those opinions.
Yeah, just a bit. The film did big business in Switzerland, France, and the Netherlands, with special buses and trains set up to transport Germans who wanted to see it across the border. Meanwhile, the film was banned in New Zealand for being anti-war, banned in Australia for being pacifistic, and also banned in Italy and Austria. In Germany, before the film was banned, screenings were regularly attacked by members of the Nazi Party who threw smoke bombs or released live mice into theaters to panic audiences and force evacuations.
Wow. That's just incredible that the reaction was so intense. I mean, you see people getting all Twitter offended at movies today, but it's nothing like that. And this is pre-internet.
Yeah, so no echo chambers on Reddit to just fuel the fire. This was all grassroots and government reactions.
I can't imagine that happening today. Amazing. And yet, in spite of all that, this film is still considered an undisputed classic.
Oh, for sure. Obviously, it was an award winner in its day, but history has also been kind to the film, with the AFI placing it at number 54 in its top 100 list, and at number 7 on the list of the greatest epics of all time.
I mean, we hear about things being epic, but this film literally is.
Now, it did have a sequel, as well as a... All right, so now, what was our worst show? Like, from our point of view, which one did we do the worst job of? I've got two I think would qualify.
Really? Which ones?
So, Rope of Sand is one.
Okay, explain that one.
We were just too new and too overtaken with everything involved with launching the podcast in the first place. I don't feel looking back we did as good a job covering the film or the people involved as we later would.
Oh, okay. I get it.
It's like one of those pilot episodes for TV shows that might be good enough to get a show on the air, but by the time it does, it's changed significantly. It's a bit like that.
Still, there was some good stuff in that episode. We might have been pretty green, but there was still some good stuff there. Let's have a listen and see what I mean.
So today, we are taking a close look at the 1949 film Rope of Sand, directed by William Dieterle. Rope of Sand stars Burt Lancaster, Paul Henreid, Peter Lorre, and Claude Rains. Those last three names should be very familiar to fans of the studio system era of old Hollywood in general, but in particular...
Casablanca.
Say what?
Casablanca. They're in Casablanca.
Yeah, that's totally true. Paul Henreid played Victor Laszlo in Casablanca, sort of the heroic good guy whose wife is willing to sell him out to get some sweet Humphrey Bogart action. And he's the villain in this one.
Can't see it.
Well, he is.
Huh. Now, Peter Lorre I can see as a villain. He's such a little rat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lorre, of course, played Ugarte in Casablanca, who for our younger listeners is like him playing Jyn Erso in Rogue One. Ugarte steals the documents that gets the whole things rolling, and in the film he comes off as a slimy crook type, but really, he was willing to kill Nazis for profit and personal gain, so...
Not really noble intentions. He's nothing like Jyn.
Judge the work, not the motives.
I mean, I guess.
And Claude Rains needs no introduction. A true giant of old Hollywood and the studio system, and one of the best character actors of his generation.
Louis in Casablanca.
Prince John in The Adventures of Robin Hood, directed by Michael Curtiz, who also did Casablanca.
Yeah, I really like him.
As well you should. As well we all should. One of his more interesting roles was in The Invisible Man, where he
I didn't see that.
Okay, good one. What's awesome about The Invisible Man is that it was part of the Universal series of horror films from the 1930s and 40s. And despite the dark universe nonsense that they tried to get off the ground in recent years with Tom Cruise's Mummy, the classic films really were a shared universe franchise. All the films, from Dracula and Frankenstein in 1931, right up to the ones with Abbott and Costello in the late 40s and early 50s, were one series of films, with recurring actors, characters, and plot lines. Obviously, not as interconnected as we're used to with the Marvel films, but moviegoers basically got monster Avengers back in 1945 with House of Dracula. They called these films monster rallies, and technically the first one was Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman in 1943, but it had only 2 monsters, not 3. Yeah, so not bad in that part, I guess.
What's your other?
The Mummy.
Oh, God, yeah.
That movie was just not enjoyable at all. And I feel as a result, we wound up mailing it in.
Totally. No clip necessary.
What about you?
What about me what?
What do you think was our worst show?
Funny you should ask. I agree it probably was Rope of Sand. I just don't think it was so bad that we should look back on it as a stinker or anything.
Okay. That makes sense.
As new podcasters, we have, predictably, been really paying attention to our numbers.
A bit obsessively. Mea culpa on that one.
But it makes sense. We try to connect with our audience and give them content they want to hear. So we have to know who's listening, where they are, and what they're responding to most positively.
It's the secret to success. Figure out what you're doing right and do more of it.
So much more.
All the more.
So tracking our numbers, especially the growth, has been critical.
It took us 34 days to get our first 100 listens, for example. Now, we get 100 every few days. We just crossed the 2,000 total listens this past weekend, and although that still places us in the small time, in terms of our status as podcasters, that's still a lot better than we ever expected.
So true. We should point out that when we're talking about our numbers, we mean our combined listens on all the different podcast places we are, like Spotify or Apple, as well as YouTube, which is sort of our main distribution outlet.
And we'd like to share with you some of these numbers to let you, the listener, know what you've helped us accomplish. In some cases, it's pretty impressive. In others,
not so much. Really, not so much.
So, our all-time most listened to episode is episode 4, Ghost of Frankenstein. Closely followed by episode 3, Son of Frankenstein, with both close to 450 listens each at the time of this recording.
And third place goes to the Lawless Breed that just crossed the 100 threshold and now seems to be climbing a bit more rapidly.
And an update on that one, Lawless Breed, I think just hit 150. So it's going up fairly quickly. And this is all on YouTube, we're learning for sure. 100 seems to be the magic number. Once you hit that, things seem to improve.
And also, our YouTube releases include slideshows that visualize what we're talking about, and some people really like that.
Although, in the past 6 weeks or so, our audio-only versions of the episode are doing better than the YouTube releases. So maybe this is changing. What do you guys think? Do you prefer the show with just audio, or do you like the audio and pictures? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, this is something we're eager to know about, because the slideshows, they're a lot of work.
Yeah. They are. Now, if you take YouTube out of the equation altogether, our top 3 most listened to episodes are It Happened on Fifth Avenue, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
All a lot more recent.
Yep.
Now, what are our 3 bottom least listened to episodes overall? This is kind of a heartbreaker, honestly.
Our least enjoyed episode is Rock Around the Clock.
I loved that movie.
And we did a good job on that episode, but it just didn't resonate with listeners, I guess. Down near it are our recent 20th episode Spectacular, and a tie between Werewolf of London and The Mummy.
Huh. Maybe Monster Movie October didn't go over that well.
It did not go over as well as War Movie November, that's for sure.
If we take YouTube out, what are the 3 bottom?
Okay, get this. Lawless Breed, Ghost, and Son.
That's so weird.
Right?
And where are our listeners?
Well, overwhelmingly our listeners are coming from the United States. That's not even close. Although we do have a good amount in Canada as well.
That makes sense. But what about globally?
Wow, outside of North America, our show has been listened to in Poland, Finland, England, Germany, Australia, Brazil, Denmark, Colombia, Ireland, and Spain.
That's so cool.
It's possible we have listeners in other countries that we just don't know about yet. If you're out there listening and we didn't mention your country, please send us a message. Let us know where you're at and we can give you a shout out.
Totally. But bottom line, wherever you're from, thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for checking us out.
Yes.
And thanks for coming back.
It is very cool of you. Okay, our rankings list. The official I Love Old Movies list of how much we enjoyed the films we reviewed.
Not how good they are.
No.
Not how famous.
No.
Just how much we liked them.
As voted on by the 3 of us here at ILOM.
Are we going top to bottom or bottom to top?
Bottom to top.
Let's go.
So at the bottom of our list, I put The Mummy. Yeah, we all put The Mummy.
That's fair.
Yeah. Next to the bottom, Ghost of Frankenstein. Now, see, like there's one that we didn't like very much.
No.
But people have really enjoyed the podcast on that one.
That has been really surprising.
Right? And the next one is a surprise too. Not in terms of where we place it on the list, but where our listeners place it, which is The Lawless Breed.
God, I hated that one.
You did, and you love Westerns.
I know. It was so sad.
Yeah, Rock Hudson too. He's great in it, but nah, just not a good movie. The next one down at the bottom, 4th from the bottom, this will be a bit controversial because I've seen it getting a lot of play on social media lately. People seem to like this movie. We really didn't, but it happened on Fifth Avenue.
Ah.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Not a favorite.
No, and a lot of talk about it being like this seasonal classic, and
I don't know if I'd say it's a classic.
Yeah, neither would I. Go ahead, give us the next few.
Okay, our next one is Werewolf of London.
You know, I liked that movie. Just not as much as some of the others.
Yeah, that's fair. Next up, we have Rope of Sand.
The Casablanca that wasn't.
Yes. That kind of took me out of enjoying the film as much as I could have.
Yeah, I feel there was a good movie there, and it just got ruined.
Yeah. Next up, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
That is pretty high up in the enjoyment listing, I guess, for us. Not in the quality listing. Because...
Are you kidding me? I love that movie. It's one of those ones that for me, it's so bad it's good.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, because I feel that about that film too. Sometimes there's moments in that film I feel it goes all the way past. So bad it's good.
Makes a complete cycle back to bad.
Exactly. Goes all the way around. Yeah. Okay, so next, we're getting into films really that we did enjoy. So even though these aren't like our top 10 or anything yet, rounding out sort of our bottom 8, Audie Murphy to Hell and Back. We combined on that podcast with Phil, with the Above and Beyond podcast, and that was really cool. Movie had the battle scenes were great. Everything else, meh.
Yeah.
Okay, so this brings us into the top 10 now, right? This is the top 10?
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay. So, take it away.
Okay.
At number 10.
Sahara,
Humphrey Bogart. We have to do more Humphrey Bogart films.
I agree. We really should.
That was another movie that had... what I liked about it was the way it was all sort of in one setting. You know, they're in the desert, this big, vast place, but 90% of that movie takes place at that well. That's kind of cool. Number 9, one you and I really, really enjoyed, but certainly our audience listening to our show did not enjoy. Rock Around the Clock.
Oh, I love that one. What a blast.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then after Rock Around the Clock, at number 8, I guess that would be, we had Dracula's Daughter.
I liked that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are all films we enjoyed very, very much. That was when we both really, we dug that. Mom did too. Go ahead, give us number 7.
Okay, we have Too Late for Tears.
Too Late for Tears was a bit of a controversy here when we were voting on it. It is one that we did not sort of have universal agreement on, because I think you and I ranked it a little bit higher.
We did, and Mom put it way down at the bottom of her list, and I was like, what are you doing? I loved that one.
So, but that's the way voting works, you know.
I guess.
Yeah. We get now into number 6, I guess. And that is A Night in Casablanca, the Marx Brothers.
I love the Marx Brothers.
Yeah, you know, that's not my favorite Marx Brothers film.
No.
I wonder if we had watched something like Duck Soup, or, where that would have placed. Probably very, very high on our list.
Yes, that is true. But I can't dislike or even remotely dislike any Marx Brothers film I've seen.
No, they're great. They're the greatest. We are now in the top 5. So, Sam, give us number 5.
Okay. We have The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Mm-hmm. Masterpiece territory. Just what a great film. Well-received podcast for us, and one that obviously we both feel we did a great job on.
Yes, that was a really good one, and I'm glad it was high up on all of our lists.
Number 4. This is one I know I went back and forth on. This was very close to me placing it very high. It could have been number 2 or number 3 for me. I think number 4 feels about right on the list overall. Run Silent, Run Deep.
Yes, I actually put mine one place higher on my list than you did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I you know what? It had Burt Lancaster in it, and that just brought it down a notch for me.
That's fair.
But if Run Silent, Run Deep isn't the perfect example of the Burt Lancaster paradox, which is a film that we love that just has an actor we don't like in it, this is it. It's one of the best movies I feel we saw and talked about, but yeah, burdened by him. And I know there's people out there that love Burt Lancaster, and we will do more films with him. But just know I'm always going to bring up the fact I don't like his performances, but I love his movies. That's
fair. I've actually been roped into this paradox, and I feel pretty much the same way. But I didn't totally despise his performance in this film specifically.
We spoke about that at the time too, and I admit I did enjoy him more in this than I have in other things I've seen him in. Number 3.
Son of Frankenstein.
I remember when we watched it and we were all just taken by how good it was, how enjoyable it was.
Yeah, I feel like that one has been at the top of whatever list we had in the back of our mind since we saw it.
Yeah, it feels, our reaction to it was so powerful, and obviously it's been really successful for us as a show. It definitely belongs there, I feel. Now we're down to number 2 and number 1. I think it's fair to say, although when we did our votes, 2 of us put a film at number 1, the other put it at number 2, and the other vote was for that other film. So all 3 of us agreed these 2 movies were our top films.
Yes.
And so really, if you want to say 1 and 1A, if you want to say number 2 and number 1, whatever. But our number 2 film, in terms of how much we enjoyed covering it and watching it, Sunset Boulevard. Which I feel like I could just go watch right now.
Yes, absolutely. You had told me about that film several times before, and I remembered that, and then we watched it, and it was just awesome.
Yeah, it's better than you think, right? Like, no matter what you've heard about it, once you watch it and you see the performances, oh my gosh. Oh, number 1, go ahead, Sam, give it to us.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
There you go. There's your life-changing movie.
Yes, absolutely. I still can't stop thinking about it. It was just so good.
And there you have it. That is our official ILOM ranking for how much we enjoyed the films that we covered.
Do you agree with our rankings? Let us know. What's your number 1? So what's next for us?
Well, we have a lot more movies to watch.
Yes, obviously. We've got Requests January.
Romance movie February.
For Valentine's Day. You old softy.
And I'm thinking Westerns for March.
Yes, absolutely. Full stop, yes.
We can figure out April to June later, but we will probably stick to themes.
Maybe themes based on directors or actors?
A month of the Burt Lancaster paradox?
Nope, not that. But an actor we like, maybe?
Yeah, that's got some potential. Jot that one down.
Got it.
And we've got the whole Pet Rock Radio thing.
We do. How is that working?
So our friends at Peterborough's best alternative online radio station, which you can listen to at petrockradio.ca, are going to start broadcasting our show over their virtual airwaves in January. I think in the first week.
And they will play that episode 3 times a week as part of their programming schedule.
Yep.
That's so cool. I love that.
Right? Part of the best thing about doing the show has been the way it has given us a new opportunity to connect with family and friends, but also the new friends we've made along the way. Other podcasters like Mallory Jacobson.
Of Movie Lovers. Go check her out.
Bill Van Vagel.
Of Land of the Creeps and Phantom Galaxy. Go check him out.
Philip Kesterson.
Of Above and Beyond. Go check him out.
And Dave Becker.
Of Land of the Creeps.
Definitely go check him out. Dave's going to be back doing a cold open for us in the new year since he made a request for us. And as it's one of his favorite films, he'd like to do that cold open.
Oh, I'm so down for that.
But the main thing is just watching more movies, making more episodes, and having more connections with people. That's what we have coming up in 2022.
Make some more friends.
Friend!
Movie friends!
Podcast friends!
And speaking of friends...
Okay, this is hot off the presses. Today, I liked an Instagram account and I became their 1,000th follower. And that led to the 2 of us chatting. Amy is the host of @Hollywood_haiku, the Instagram account, and as advertised, she writes really cool haikus about movies and personalities of old Hollywood.
So she's like us,
yeah,
but with haikus?
Precisely. And as her 1,000th follower, she is dedicating a haiku to our show, and I got to pick the topic.
Ghost of Frankenstein?
No. William Holden.
Perfect. Great choice.
So when she writes that and sends it along, we will read it on our show. And in the meantime, please go give her a follow. It's @Hollywood_haiku. Tell her the gang at ILOM sent you.
But for now, let's sign off on Season 1 and 2021.
Thanks for being here with us so far. And we will hear from each other next year.
In 2 weeks.
Also then.
And in the meantime, tell people all about this cool podcast you listen to.
We are not a secret. Spread the word all you want.
So tell your friends.
Tell your enemies.
You never know. They might love old movies as much as you do.
Maybe even more. For Sam the Sidekick, I'm Derek. And I love old movies.
Have a safe and happy holiday, everyone.
Additional research for I Love Old Movies, the podcast, is done by Nikki Weatherden. Audio clips come from freefx.co.uk. Images are used through the provisions of fair use, and our theme song, Burning Bridges, is by The Crocs.